Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Tearing It Up. We have another returning guest. This has been a theme kind of lately, but I think the last few I've had, they were returning from a Pitch Fest series, so their episodes in that series were pretty short and very much focused on Pitch Fest, so it's been nice to dive into their stories a little bit deeper. But this guest we did a full episode with, and we were just chatting ahead of hitting record here about what that last episode or when it was and everything we dove into. And it was almost a year and a half ago, so hard to believe. But our lives, and we talked very much about how they paralleled each other and the just untraditional kind of paths that we took throughout the outdoor industry and all sorts of things, working in Alaska at the same time in our early 20s. And, to this day, still making, I think, pivots and stuff off the normal path. So I'm really excited to have Allison back and update you all on what she's been up to, what she's got going, and just talk about kind of carving your own path, making your own way. And the title of our last episode was who's to say that you're supposed to do one thing forever? If you guys didn't listen to that, I think go back and search. It was August 2024, but that was something Allison said in that conversation. And it just really stuck with me too, because it's been a belief of mine for so long, which I think is much more millennial belief, but still not super widespread. But then Gen X or boomers, where it's you get one job and you stay in that job for 40 years till you retire, and that's it. And that's kind of what was shoved down our throats. And I think many of us have gotten rid of that thought. But it's still hard to imagine, if you did go into a full-time job, what to do next or when you're supposed to leave. And there's a whole trend still of job hopping and exploring and things like that. But I think there are a lot of people out there who are scared or have that feeling of how long am I supposed to do this one thing? And we just put a lot of thought into that. But anyway, Allison, how about I'm going to turn it to you to just give some people the update here. But first off, where are you today as we record?
Hey, I'm so happy to be back. This is awesome. And thank you so much for having me. Seriously. I love listening to your podcast. And the last one with Colleen, chasing goals, I was like, oh yeah, people chase goals that aren't monetizing, that aren't jobs.
Yeah.
I was like, what a concept. Because that's yeah, it's just interesting. I loved it. It was really good.
Oh, I love that.
I
Thank you.
am now in Kalamazoo. So last time we spoke, I lived in northern Michigan.
Mhm.
And I had lived there for 6 years. And I just moved back down to Kalamazoo and back in civilization, which has been really good for me. So yeah, it's totally different landscape, and it's exciting though. It's like a breath of fresh air. So I'm excited.
That's awesome. And Kalamazoo is one of those places that I feel you hear on TV, right? And you're like, wait, that actually exists? There's a
Yeah.
city named that, right? Like Nantucket, even too. Just fun names to say that don't
Yes,
feel real.
100%.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad that you liked that episode with Colleen. And that was, you guys, now by the time you're listening to this, just a few weeks old. But that is 100% a way that I thought too, where it's wow, yeah, chasing a goal that's not just how do we make money off of this? How do we turn something into a business? I feel like everything for me lately has been so business type oriented or something like that. So, uh it is nice now, literally in this moment, to think yeah, maybe that's why I do need to set some other goals that have no I guess consequence or are just for fun,
Yeah.
it's I think her message was amazing. We can set big goals right at
Mhm.
any age, and goals that do matter to us, do serve a purpose, but also sometimes we have to just be let's just do something that's just for us,
Yeah.
and just for you, because I feel when you are entrepreneurial minded or just very independent, self-starting, that it's hard to set a goal that doesn't have some kind of expected outcome, or it's like for other people or anything like that. And I'm like, yeah, I need to do something that's a
Yeah.
little more rooted in myself.
I mean, honestly, too, like what we're going to talk about with this consulting, it feels like that to me. Like it feels like it's something that is for me and
Mhm.
isn't like doing that 9 to 5, like, grind. Like this is something that feels like really special. So, like, I think even though there is like a monetary, thing tied to it, like the content of it is like, it's from myself and like who I truly am. So, yeah, I'm really excited about it. It's cool.
Yes. That's awesome. And okay, so let's chat a little bit about, I guess, last time you were on the podcast, we were talking about like the independent or rep
Yeah.
world, or the sales rep world, and you were, I think, also kind of in an in between at that point, or a transition
Mhm.
of what you were doing exactly in that world. So fill us in a bit on like what's kind of been happening in that career world for you.
Yeah, totally. Well, it's interesting because like last time we talked, yeah, I was moving out of independent rep world and into a corporate job. So I've been working in corporate now, and corporate has its own life of its own. It's its thing. But the work that I do is really fun. And I get to work with a lot of cool like accounts. So that's been awesome. But this like consulting business is kind of like, what do emerging brands do before they go to the independent rep agency?
Mm,
So it's like, there's so many things that are happening, like with, tariffs and like the uncertainty out there for like emerging brands specifically. And their margins are like razor thin. So like
mhm,
putting a percentage down for a rep agency before you even know really what the wholesale market is kind of just like, I feel like there needs to be one more step before you get to the rep world. And so I hope that I can kind of bridge that gap so that when the emerging brand goes into that rep agency, they're prepared and they have everything the reps need to be successful. Because that's the other thing that I think is missing is that. Like, what
mhm.
do the reps need to sell my product to a buyer,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, that's a really good point, and, I mean, you've had experience through so many different, like, views of things, which I have as well. Again, this is where we talk about, like, our lives just parallel, and, like, we've been kind of in all the different roles, and it's like, okay, I've seen it from, a retailer side, from a rep side, from marketing side, and
Mhm.
from being out in the field as a guide, and I just feel like I have such a understanding, and I try to convey that to people, when it comes to looking for jobs or things, and it's very
Yeah.
hard to do over just a resume, because on a resume, it just looks like I don't know what the fuck I wanna do,
Yeah.
and I've just, like, tried
Mm.
everything, but really, it's all given me just such a different outlook and a way to understand things that a lot of people don't, because usually they come from the lens of just, like, one lens of view or
Yeah,
2 or something, and I'm like, "Okay, well, I can bring you, like, 18 different
exactly.
views here," and I think it's really, really important, and it gets overlooked, I think, in the job market, as a whole, and not even just in the outdoor industry, but how people still very much look at your track record of, have you done this one thing for 10 years? We want
Mhm.
experience in this, and we want a bachelor's degree in this same thing. And it's like, yeah, well, we need to be better at seeing the through line for people, and I think that that's just really hard for people like us who try a bunch of different things, and we are making the connection in those
Yeah,
jobs, but it's hard to convey it to others, which then I think is why it leads us maybe to starting our own things, because, like, alright, if you're
maybe
not gonna
so.
see it, I'm gonna make you see it by creating something here that is
Yeah.
giving you
That
this.
is so real, like, everything you just said is pretty much spot on. Because it's like, I started as a, in like, the Alaska thing, like, the dock representative to the, lift operator, and then I worked floor sales, and then I was a buyer, and then I was a sales manager, and then I became a rep for an independent, and then I became a rep for my own independent, And now I'm a key account executive working with big brands across North America. So it's like I have literally every single aspect of the industry that I think that you could have at this point. Like
Mhm.
I don't think there's a job I've missed. Like
Yeah,
it's
yes.
crazy. Maybe marketing. Maybe that's the only one. But,
Well,
you
I
know,
don't even think so when it co I don't know, you're still involved in ways, but
oh,
it
for
might not be
sure.
direct, but
Right.
you're still like
I'm not making the
you've
asset,
touched
but
points.
I'm
Yeah,
you know. Yeah. Um,
exactly.
yeah, so, that's the whole thing. That I mean, honestly, it's like I have so much knowledge of this industry and like the last couple of years, like since we've talked really, I've been working on myself, honestly. Like I have a therapist, like shout out to therapists, like, whoa,
Yes.
that is a big job. Like, damn. But like working with my therapist on like, okay, do I go back to school or not? Like back and forth, back and forth,
Mhm.
back and forth. And she was like, you just need to sit down and like meditate. And like I go to yoga like 3 times a week and I have a workout class. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna like really tap in and journal and like figure out like what am I good at? What is something that I can educate and share with
Mm.
that doesn't require me going back to school and spending all this money because like we live in a different world. Like we talked about this
Mhm.
last time. It's like we don't have it's harder for us to go back to school and take on debt at this point in our lives. And I think I'm just not going to do that. Like I'm just
Yeah.
not. And I think that this whole self-discovery that I've been going through the last couple of years, I've landed in this spot where it's like, okay, I understand this so much. What like part of this industry do I love the most? And it's like, I love helping small brands. And like, that's what I was doing when I had my small or my independent agency. It was like, I was honing in on that even. I was like, I want to help women owned,
Mhm.
women led brands, purpose led brands and that's kinda like my bread and butter because 'cause I'm like, you have something special to share with people, and, like, you have a story that's, like, exciting and, like, easy to, like, show to the world. And so, like, with this consulting business, I want to elevate those people. I wanna take those small emerging brands that are online, like direct to consumer, and I wanna help them figure out what steps do you need to take to get into wholesale, whether that's in the outdoor industry, like outdoor specialty, run specialty, sporting goods, boutique, and like build a literal like life cycle plan with them so that we can work on okay, how do you speak to a buyer? What does your margin look like? Like, are your products priced correctly? Like, let's start there, at the
Yeah,
very beginning
yes.
and then move through like, okay, what does your line sheet look like? What are you missing on your line sheet that buyers need to know? How do you pitch to buyers? What trade shows do you go to? How do you prepare
Mhm.
for a trade show? When you get there, like, what do you do? How do you get, you know, clients? And like, once you grab those clients, like, what's your CRM system? How are you following up with them? And then once we finally land you in one of these doors, how do we get sell through rates and how do we continue to build your brand without, you know, without being like kicked out because you're not doing well or
Mhm.
you sell through your product, but it's new and they forget to refill and then it looks like your turns are bad, but they're actually good. So it's like there's just so many like minute little tiny little details that I'm like, this is stuff that like I need to share with the world because like I just know all this
Yes!
stuff.
Okay, I love this. Okay, we're just aligned in so many things of kind of life and where I think both of our minds have been because as you're talking, I'm just like, just yes, 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 on all the things when thinking about like going back to school, like, okay, what can I focus on? Should I go back? I've been recently thinking that too as I've gotten into personal training. Like, should I just go get that fucking bachelor's degree in kinesiology?
Right.
Because like I just still want it so fucking bad and it
Mhm.
interests me so, so much, whether that's, not exactly where I want to do everything in life. I still think no matter what, I want to do all these different things, which is my problem. But I was just like, at least maybe this will give me one bigger focus that maybe has a bigger, like, paycheck or can get me just be a real foundation on things that is easy to explain versus, like, whatever other shit I do, and it's
Yeah.
like, "What do you do
Yeah.
exactly?" Um, but, like, you're saying, okay, first of all, no, I don't really wanna go back to school. I don't wanna put that money in, especially if I don't know what, I want to do. I know I don't wanna focus on the one thing, so what's the ROI on that other than I just
Mhm.
really, really enjoy about learning how the human body moves and works, but I can also study some of that a lot of that on my own, right?
Yeah.
Um but as far as just kind of, wondering, like, what are those next steps and really trying to tune in to what I, like, am good at and what I want and how to convey that. Like, I started going back to yoga and I'm just really trying to
Mhm.
focus on what I need physically too, because I think when we're taking care of ourselves, those other existential, like, questions can be a little bit easier to answer
Mhm.
because we're cutting out some of the other noise. So I've been also, yeah, trying to tune in, like, what am I good at? And um I just said this recently too on an episode I did with Amber, one of our TNA episodes, just like catching up, shooting the shit. Like, I'm just ready to step into more of a place of like authority in my own and speak on
Totally.
the things that I know.
Yeah.
I know about and am experienced about instead of always turning to others, which I love to hear from others. I love to bring others on to talk to the audience and to share their expertise, but I'm like, "But I also have so much
Yeah.
myself to give, so I need to start doing that too," but it's this weird, just feeling of like, "Well, people don't wanna hear from me, right? They wanna
Yeah.
hear from these other people," and
Oh,
just trying to erase
100%.
that from my head.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like, I'm, like, building this business, and I'm like, "Who's gonna want my advice?" Like, you know what
Mhm.
I mean? Like, but at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm working with a brand right now, and I feel so thankful that I am somebody that has been referred to, just because I've worked in the industry for so long. But I am working with a brand right now, an emerging brand who wants to get into wholesale, and we're using it as kinda like a test, like, it feels like dating, like, "Are we good for each
Yeah.
other? Like, what do I say? Like, is this helpful?" But pretty much immediately when we had our call, she was like it was like someone fed her what my business plan was, and she just asked all the questions, and I was like, "This is not happening. Like, this is my first call with someone, and this is, like, how successful it is? Like, what?" And so we, like, went and talked for, like, 45 minutes, and, it was jam-packed, but she was like, "Holy crap, like, this is crazy." She was like, "I haven't even thought about half this stuff, like, this is insane."
Mhm.
And so I was like, "Okay, well, let's work together. I'm here for you, and, like, we can figure this out." And it was just really, like, the best call I could have had because it just put me on this path where it was like, I can't sit here and say, like, "You're not gonna get it. Like, it's not gonna work," or "This is too far-fetched," or, like, "I've never heard of this. Why would it work?" It was like I had validation, like, immediately. So I was like, I don't know how often or how easy it's gonna be to connect with
Mhm.
these, like, emerging brands, but, like, so far, I'm like, I can help you. Like, I can help
Mhm.
you, figure this out, which is so rewarding to me. Like, I want to be able to be authentic and to help people be successful, especially in this part of the industry that I care so much about. And like, I don't have to help brands that aren't, like helping me with my messaging. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can be like, hey, like woman to woman or like purpose to purpose. Like, I want to help you and I want to explore like where we can grow this business. So, yeah, it's exciting. And I like reached out to, I don't know if Lloyd from Garage Grown Gear listens to any of these, but I reached out to him and I was like, hey, like, I know you work with like a lot of emerging brands, like to get online, like once they're ready to go to wholesale, like here I am,
Yeah.
but I mean,
Yeah.
Lloyd, shout out to Lloyd if you watch this or hear this, like get a hold of me.
Yes.
I just ask you a couple of questions, please.
Totally. No, I follow him on LinkedIn. I met him a couple times in person at
Nice.
events, and I just think, yeah, what he's doing is awesome and amazing, and there's been so much
Yes.
growth in garage grown gear. And I think that, again, w I also with this podcast is, like, having the platform for some of these small brands to get
Again,
out
that
there directly to their target audience,
yeah,
being women-focused and outdoor and active and whatnot, that I'm like, "This is yeah, these are the people you need to talk to, let's
yeah,
connect to," and, yeah, it's hard to obviously track, like, whatever, sales or, calls to action and if people follow through or whatnot, but I think at least it puts that subliminal message, like, in the audience's mind, so when they see it at a store, see an ad pop up online or something like, "Oh, wait, I heard from the founder directly. Like,
yeah,
I wanna know more about this brand," and I think that so many founders that we've had on the podcast too, you all have heard their stories and talking about
yeah,
when they got started, they had 0 experience in, like, what they were doing. Most of them anyway, like, oh, no, they weren't in a they didn't come from making apparel, they never designed apparel, they
no,
came from, like, tech to this, like, 180, like, degree difference and had to learn along the way. I mean, it's what I'm doing, it's what you've done with your businesses, and it can be such a slow, slow path because you are literally figuring everything out in real time. So it's amazing when people do come along and they can kind of be like, hold your hand a bit. Like,
yeah,
hey, this is what to expect and to look out for because as you said with that first like client meeting you had that this person's like, oh, I never would have even expected that. How could I know that that
mhm,
could be a problem or a next step?
yeah,
Because you just have to go in and see what's happening. You're starting this business a lot of times off of pure passion for these small emerging brands too.
right,
So that's just not even in your field of view of like
yeah,
the kind of what could go wrong. Like stuff's gonna go wrong, but
yeah,
you just have no idea what it could be.
totally,
And to have someone who can just kind of help you again along the way and prepare you a little bit better for what the steps are after, 1, 2, and 3 or whatnot is, I think, so incredibly beneficial, and I don't know, I'm not, like, in that world, like, that side of it, so I'm not sure if there's many people out there doing it. I certainly haven't heard of it,
mhm,
very often, so it sounds like, you would have a lot of people who could say, "Yes, oh my god, please, please help me," but I'm sure what happens is, again, that barrier of, "How do we budget for this?" Right? How
yeah,
can we but you have to weigh it, right? Okay, you're either gonna help like, pay someone to help you do something and
right,
skip, a million, like, downfalls, that didn't have to happen. They're not necessarily failures you're gonna learn from, they're, like, failures that could have consequences,
right.
um, and so that money saves you time. Spending some money can save you so much
Well,
time.
and, like, yeah, the other part of this too is, like, so when I was speaking about, like, you would get, like, the consulting prior to the rep agency is, like,
Mhm,
pretty much speaking on that. It's like the rep agency, what they're gonna do is most of the time, especially with an emerging brand, like, you're not generating a lot of revenue off the bat as
mhm,
a like, if you have a smaller brand and your big brand is what's paying you your commission and you bring on, like, the emerging brand because you wanna still be relevant, speaking to your buyers and offering them something new, you're not seeing, like, you might be pay on pay as a rep, so you might not see that money until, the buyer pays for the product. So, like, that
mhm.
could be, like, you know, 6 months until you get paid.
Yeah,
Um and for a
that's
lot
why I
of
had to stop
reps,
doing it.
yeah, I mean, and a lot of reps, they can't do that. So it's like you're gonna
Mhm,
get in trying to find a rep agency to rep your brand to accounts, but but you don't have the margin, or like you have the margin, but maybe you don't have the ability to pay them when they need to. It's so difficult, and it creates like this weird tension that does not need to exist. And
mhm.
it's because it's financial, and
Yeah,
also like you know, you might not be shown to all these people because you are that smaller brand that they have. Like they might have a display of you and maybe like buyers walk by and ask a question about it, but it's not going to be something you are like shouting to the world about.
Mhm.
So, my hope is that like I can help these people speak directly to the buyer. So they're going to the show, they're speaking directly to the buyer, they're selling in, and then, how they keep that conversation going, but also like just making sure that like you're getting into these doors and you're seeing sell through before you get the rep. Because the rep
Mhm.
is gonna be able to be that boots on the ground person who's educating them, who's keeping it going, and what better for the rep if it's already in the store, right?
Yeah,
If you go
exactly.
to the agency and you're like, "Hey, I'm already in 20 doors," they're gonna be like, "Oh, that's great. Like, cool." It gives them a foundation to work off of too. So I think it's like a win-win. I just, like, want to be able to, like, also make sure that systems are in place for the rep because, like, a lot of times, they don't have the right information that they need to even sell it in. And it's
Mhm.
like, there's no fault on the, small business owner because they don't know. They don't know what they
Mhm.
need. So, like, that's what it's about. It's about just giving them all the tools to be successful, you know?
Yeah. Well, and like you said, a lot of I remember I mean, I only had one brand. I was only repping Dovetail, but it was independent and still like the main thing was getting in more doors at that time too. So that's very hard. That's very like as the rep, you need to be out there like at the stores, like talking to people, showing face, showing product, all this, that, and the other, and growing. And when I was kind of thinking about how much I wanted to do in that space and did I want to take on other brands or what I wanted to do, a friend of mine who's been a rep forever was like, "Well, you need to make this work, you need big brands and then you
Mhm.
have like one or two like passion
Yeah.
brands that you don't really make anything from or
Yeah.
you don't put a lot of weight on in that financial, but you do it because you really, really care about them
Yeah,
and
and the
believe in them."
story, and you can sell it by a story because it's like, this
Yep.
product doesn't exist in the market. You need to have a way to, bring that passion like you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, but even with that, your time is still so split if you're committed to, like you have to make money like everyone else does, if this is your full time, like this is your livelihood. So you're still that passion brand is still such a small piece of the pie that rep normally isn't giving like, can't give that brand as much time as that brand might need
Yeah,
to learn those things, like you're saying, that they just don't know, so they're not able to really give the rep what they need because how the rep doesn't always have the time to sit there and coach you along the way
yes, right.
too, because it's, like, this weird relationship where I feel like often you're working with so many people that know what they're doing, and then you have to switch to
Mhm.
like, "Oh, wait, I'm kinda teaching you, but really, like, I shouldn't be teaching you because 'cause I'm kinda like your client type." Yeah, weird
Yeah,
client,
right.
like, employer, like, relationship, like, who is you know, the one holding, I guess, like, more power? Not, like, really the right word, but it's like, yeah, the how does this
Yeah,
relationship work, and who should be telling who, like, kinda what to do or what's needed and whatnot, but I think that there definitely needs to be a middle ground in space, but you do see just a huge jump where it's like, all right, we're on the internet, we're finding customers there, but how do we get in stores? And the next thing is just reps. But again, a lot of the brands we've had on here didn't or still don't have sales reps or finally just got one. Like even Wild Rye, I think didn't have many
mhm,
reps for a long, long time and finally just did because exploring more wholesale is a little more recent, and the scenic gals are, like, in that boat too, where it takes a lot of time before you can be able to commit to having a sales rep, so you get stuck, I feel like, in this gray area for so long
yeah,
as a brand.
right, and it's like, where are they getting their information from? You know what I mean? It's like from
Mhm,
other brands probably and from, like,
mhm,
I'm sure there's a network that they can tap into to kind of figure this out. Or they have, worked in retail in the past or something and they have that experience, but it's so specific and like by channel, it's so different. Like selling
mhm,
into run specialty is not the same as selling into outdoor specialty, you know?
mhm,
And like, so like, how do we build, that line sheet and that pitch to the run industry so that, because it's more competitive, but the
mhm.
returns are usually higher. So it's like there's different opportunities in different areas, and it's like, okay, who's your customer? Who are you speaking to? And then, how can we elevate that in store? And like, there's just little nuances too. It's like, how does it show up in store? Like, do you have
Mhm.
a way to display it? Like, how do the buyers know when it's out of stock? Like, how do and like those little things like that. And like, does the image in store match your .com business? Like, are people
Yeah.
seeing it from online and like registering it when they're in the store? Like, are you gonna have, like, a dealer locator? Like, there's so many, like, weird little things that it's like, and I'm sure along the way, like, all these people figure this out. It's not like
Mhm.
it's rocket science or something.
But like
Also
I
a
said,
shout
it
out
can
to the
take a
woman
long time.
in space going around the moon. I'm doing a lot of shout outs on this, but shout out to the woman going to the moon. Hell yeah. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, I think, like, there's just so many nuances and so many weird things that, like, just exist. They live rent free in my head. It's just bizarre.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I same, and I mean, I think that so there's sometimes in life and business and whatever you're doing, it feels like I feel this way a lot where I don't feel like I have anyone who can kind of, like, help me and, like, skip a couple of these hardship steps or something because I am doing just something totally on my own, and, I mean, obviously, there are people I know that can help me in one aspect and the other and whatever, but I know what it feels like to feel, like, stuck, and the only way to learn is to make the mistakes yourself and to keep going, but it's fucking exhausting, and
Yeah.
like I said, these people have networks out there for sure, whether that's founder, friends, or
Right.
but some have bigger networks than others.
Yeah.
Some are tapped in and some don't have any or didn't have any at all, and like I said, those some of these mistakes can just be costly. So if you can skip that and have someone who can help you because they have this very well-rounded experience that you have from all aspects is so, so valuable. And that's where, like, kind of bringing it back to the beginning, I think that a lot of us sometimes we really just need to tap into what we're good at and realize that
Yeah.
we are so not one-dimensional,
Mhm.
and if you're thinking about a career pivot, like, you just have to really think about how you can tie like, your skills in whatever industry that you're in or whatever career you're in absolutely tie into another industry and path, but you just have to, like, look at it from a different lens, and I mean, maybe I got this from, like, ChatGPT talking me through shit or something at one point and be like, "No, your skills translate," but I just had this conversation recently with, like, my boyfriend's mom is um, like, looking for new work at 65, and she
Yeah.
doesn't know if she wants to keep the same job she had. She doesn't wanna fully retire, and but I
Mhm.
was talking to her, and I'm like, "Look, your skills over here absolutely translate over here. Like, you are an amazing communicator and manager. Like, you don't
Yeah.
have to stay in this lane that you have been in for 40 years, but you've been so unhappy. Like, it's time for you to take time for you." And,
Mhm.
like, I just feel like I I love her to death, but I do not want to be there at 65. I don't wanna have to have that thought of, like, I felt stuck in one lane, you know?
Mhm.
I want to be able to, like, explore different opportunities, and I think, again, it's becoming more regular that we all do that and take obviously, it comes from a place of privilege to be able to try different things and take different paths and whatnot, and there's plenty of times that people, you can't do that, and you gotta figure out how you might be able to. But I do think it can just start simply with, like, what are my skills right now,
Yeah.
and how can that, like, relate to something entirely different that might bring me a little bit more joy,
Yeah.
and I know in the so this is how I know we're also, like, very, very similar because for many people, I think they would look at, like, a year and a half and think that that's not very much time to
Yeah.
have, like, go from, making the pivots that you have, versus for me, I'm like, "You did it, you tried that, and now you're ready to take on the next thing and
I'm in,
go
like,
back
a
out on your own,"
constant
but
self-discovery, I think forever.
Yeah.
Like, until the day I die, I truly believe that this is just who I am. I am the
Mhm.
unconventional one. Like, I'm never going
Yes.
to be in a place where I'm, like, completely settled. It's never gonna happen, and I'm okay with that because it keeps me curious. I think it
Yep.
gives me, like, I learn a lot, and, like, I'm
Mhm.
just, like, soaking it in, like, this is what life is, like, you know what I
Yes.
mean? Like,
And
ugh.
I think there's been times that I've said out loud, I'm sure that, like, I envy at times people who
Yeah.
know exactly what they wanna
They just
do and
lock
wanna
in,
do
and that's it.
one yeah, yeah, and I'm like, "That is great." No shade to anyone
No,
who is like, "No, I wanna stay in
I
this
love that.
field or this path forever." Like, that is great. I'm very honestly happy for you that you feel happy there or that you can work and then separate life. You can go do your 9 to 5, get your paycheck, support your family, support your life, your freedom, all sorts of things, and then be able to go shut off at the end of the day, and do the things that matter more to you and whatnot. And I just have a very hard time doing that and figuring that out and finding any kind of separation in my life. And I'm trying to come to terms with like, all right, do I need the separation or is it okay if if it's all kind of blended together, but
Mhm.
obviously there has to be some kind of boundaries, but I've been going back and forth a lot lately, like, do I just totally try and transition over here, have a full-time job so I can just relax a little bit, get that stability, or but I know I just can't stay in a box very long.
I know, and I feel that. And it's like, honestly, like, I took a class last year that was, on time management, and it
Mm,
taught me to look at my calendar every week and put the things that you wanna do down for you. Like,
mhm,
the things that you wanna do for you first, and then you build the rest of your week around it, and it's, like, legitimately changed my life, like, no big deal. But I feel like I'm able to prioritize myself even though I
mhm,
have a full-time job and I'm gonna have this consulting business. But it's like I have a garden I started, that has 5
mhm.
beds, and I'm, like, gonna grow all my own food and, like
Oh, that's amazing.
and I'm
Freaking
learning
Kalamazoo.
yoga, and I'm doing all the things, and I'm, like, not burnt out at all. It's weird, maybe one day it'll catch up with me, but I'm like I feel like, though, it's like I'm able to do different types of work. It's like the movement of the body is not the same as planting the seeds, like, sowing the seeds,
Mhm,
and, like, building a business isn't the same as, working a 9 to 5. Like, they're all different types of brain work and different aspects, and, like, I feel like it's balance. It's just, like, if you wanna add more, just, like, don't add the same things, like, add different types
right.
of things so you can kinda have this, like, energy flow. And so, I don't know, I mean, I just hope that, like, I'm able to connect with these, emerging brands and, like, just talk it out. Like, I would love to just be able to do that and see if this is helpful and, like, see where it can go, you know? I mean, like,
Yeah.
this to me is, like, freedom. Like, if I'm able to
Mhm.
take this to where I want it to go, like, I'm gonna be doing something that I truly am passionate about, that I very much love, and, like, that is what's fueling this whole thing, you know? And, like,
Yeah.
I'm also like, okay, like, I'm gonna have a woman build my website, like, not having a man build my website, like, I'm gonna do, like, all these
Yes.
things the way that I want it. I'm gonna put my money where I want it to go. I'm gonna, this is another part of my business is I'm donating a portion of what I make to, the Southwest Michigan Land Conservancy, and I'm also donating to Gifted Music, which is a music program for after-school kids that don't have music programs. So it's like I feel like it's really me. Like I'm doing what I love and I'm
Yes.
giving back to the things that I love. And like it's just like it's a fullness that I've never felt before. And I haven't even started really doing this.
Yeah.
I hope that I can just like, keep it going. But
I love it. Well, that's gotta
no.
be such a good feeling to have to, kinda come to this realization over the past year or however long that you've kind of been taking that time
Mhm.
for yourself to really just, like, just think about what you need, what you can give, and then to finally feel like you've landed on something that just feels good,
Yeah.
right? And of course, like, there's a monetary value tied to it, but I think that something that I have a hard time, at least, with is it's tying too much into it, of, like, feeling that if it doesn't make, money, then is it a failure? And
Mhm.
how do I continue to do some of these things that I'm super passionate about and it really do matter? And, like, if it doesn't make money, is that okay? And w I just feel like I tie so many things back to, like, "Oh, let's make this a business
Yeah.
plan." And
No.
so I am wondering if, you've had any of that kind of mental, like, fight as you've been kind of planning this all out, and, how you might be able to offer things like this to people, or where you think you could give to people with the things you're good at if it wasn't tied to
Right.
a business.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things I'm gonna offer is, like, I'm gonna meet them where they're at. Like, I might have, a standard rate, but I'm gonna be like, "If you can't afford this, like, let's figure out what you can afford." Because I don't wanna, like,
Yeah.
and that's the other thing. It's like, I truly wanna help people and, like, my time is valuable, so it's like, that's kind of
Yes.
the more it's not about what I know, it's just the time is what,
Mhm.
has the value behind it. So, um, you know, we'll see, like, and I know that a lot of emerging brands, like, they don't have a lot to spend. They don't have very much money. So it's like, it's not like I feel like I'm gonna be, like, making a bunch of money, these
Yeah, totally.
small-ass
It's
brands.
gonna
Like,
take work.
no,
Yeah.
that's not how it goes. But I just think, like, I'm able to give so much care in a different way by not being a rep because, like, the
Mhm.
money is because I have a full-time job right now, the money isn't, like, the number one thing. So it's like I don't
Mhm.
feel
Mhm.
like I have this connection with, like, I have to make this certain amount of money because I'm gonna go and I'm gonna drive across the Midwest region with your product and, like, there's not like that. So it's just a
Mhm.
different feeling. It's like the thing that
Yeah.
I liked, but I couldn't keep doing because of money, right? So it's like
Yeah. Yes.
it's a different kind of situation, but um I'm also gonna have a blog, on my website that will have, like, tips and tricks for, like, little things that, like, people, like, what to prepare for a trade show, that'll be a blog post and, like, um, and, like, seasonally, like, how to prepare seasonally and, like, things that you want on your line sheet, like, those will all be, like, little blog posts, like, that you can kinda get quick tips from, um so that's something too, and, like, I don't know, it'll just be really interesting to see how it all plays out, like, and if you're a small brand listening, like, and you wanna know more, like, I'm here, like, let's just
Yeah.
talk about it,
Yes.
like, don't be
Well,
afraid
I
to
think
ask questions, like.
exactly. I think a sliding scale, there's a lot of people that offer that in many different ways these days, and I think it's a really accessible way, especially when you're doing something you care about, right? So small
Yeah,
businesses. I know there's a lot of creatives out there and stuff that have that, where it's like, we can adjust and kinda customize to you, and you can do that for however long you can, and then you might eventually figure out, like, where to narrow in the focus and offer these packages or whatnot that generally is what people are wanting, but always have some sort of custom kind of option. But of course, your time is absolutely valuable, and that's one thing I have to remind myself of, and I think everyone does when they're trying to do something and charge for it, is that it you may be so, so, so passionate about it that it can be hard to charge, but you have to think
yes,
about your time, even
yeah,
if you do have, it is on the side and you have a full-time job and this isn't the main money maker. It's just, I think, a precedent we have to set, and
yeah,
that makes ourselves feel more valued and purposeful in the end too. And I think also shows when you're working with other people that, like, it's reminding them that you have a real value to offer, which can make them feel more valuable too by
mhm,
working with you in whatever capacity it might be, whatever, industry you're in. Um, but I had this other kind of random idea from all the podcasts I've listened to on, like, marketing and growing small business and stuff, and I don't know if it's still trending, or if it was just again, certain people that I listened to who are super on this, that they like quizzes were having a moment, right? Like, do a quiz, and like quizzes
Yeah.
bring so much email traffic and this and that and the other. And I don't think I maybe started to make a few. I'm like, what the fuck am I gonna make a quiz about
Yeah.
that I care about? And like, I don't want to feel like I'm in 17 magazine, but like
Right.
sometimes they're kind of fun. But for you, I was like, oh my gosh, you should just create a quiz
Yeah.
where at the end it kind of tells them what trade
Oh,
shows would be
okay.
most valuable to
Mhm.
them.
Yeah. No, actually, that's a good
Because
idea.
there's, so many for these brands, and I'm sure they hear like, oh, this one's the best or what, but that might be from a big brand perspective or from, like a certain like niche in the outdoor industry, like for bike specific or
Yeah.
this. And they might find out about a trade show and its real value that they never would have had on their radar. 'Cause
Yeah.
like, oh wait, I wouldn't have thought about going there. Um, or even just like an event or something
Mhm.
where they could show up, and like that's where
Yeah.
you're gonna get some exposure, at least to
Totally.
people. And sometimes just having that direct exposure to people where they can then, and I tell people this on the podcast all the time, you listeners out there know, like, if you go into your local store, whatever specialty store it is or whatnot, and they don't have the brand you want to see, you as the customer telling the people working
Yes.
there that can go really, really far. So it's like
Mhm.
you show up at one of these like events, and then all of a sudden these like women go home to their store and like, oh my god, like why doesn't my bike shop have this brand or
Yeah.
something? So
Totally.
those things that people might not have thought about could be a low lift on them, a lot less money than going to this giant trade show where people aren't actually writing orders at.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, it depends on their goals or something. But so that could be fun, especially if you have a little bit of a woman focus too. I feel like we're the ones taking quizzes, but
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
because we
yeah,
have that
yeah.
connection to the magazines.
Right, yeah. Exactly. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
No, but yeah,
But
I don't know, I'm excited, and I'm launching on May 1st, and my website will be launched, so that's exciting, and you will be able to link it or whatever when you, like, say, "We'll link
yeah.
it to this podcast." You link the website. I'm
What
gonna
is
check it
do
out.
you have your like name all set and
Yeah,
whatnot?
it's AD because my name is Allison Duchesne, so it's AD Outdoor Consulting. So, yeah, it's very
Awesome,
simple,
easy.
but I
Yeah,
also, like,
what you need.
yeah, I'm the one you need, yeah. There's also another branch that I am also going to help out with, which is the music industry, which I don't know how many music industry people are listening, but everyone likes music. So, if you are an
Yeah.
emerging band and you want to have a strategic plan built for you, 6 months, 12 months, whatever, like I am also doing that. My husband's a musician and I've been, helping them with their strategic planning. And with small brands and small bands, it's very similar. Like you have like this person who's like dedicated to the thing that they're making and like all of
Mhm.
it is behind that with the passion, but then there's all this other stuff that falls because they don't know like how do you like what do you plan for? Like how do you plan a tour? How do you plan who do you get a hold of when you want to make t-shirts and swag and like when you're going on tour, like how do you order it? How much do so there's
Mhm.
all this other stuff that like, when do you launch an album? Like how do you, which is more of like a marketing, I guess, side of it. But yeah, I'm also
There's
be
your
doing
marketing touch point.
it is, yeah. So yeah, it is. Um so yeah, I'm gonna also be doing that. Because the music industry is like, especially the independent music industry is massive and there's so many people who just need help and I just want to help people because I
Yes.
love music, I love the outdoors, the outdoor space, like two of my passions and like I don't know. We'll see what happens. So, it's exciting.
That's super, super cool. You cannot tie this lady down or put her in a box. I really love that you are working in like, those two very different industries because again, it just helps just justify myself in that like, tying fitness and like freelance marketing and outdoors together. And I'm like, people are like, what do you do? I'm like, well, the through line is I am here to like raise women's voices and make them feel strong and
Yeah.
get their name out there and all that. So again, you have to find your own through line sometimes, and it's absolutely okay to have multiple passions and, not niche down, but it can be hard to figure out, where you want to spend your time or money, or which one do you want to make money, and all these sorts of things. And before we get out of here, I am curious, if we slightly touched on burnout, and right now you're doing a lot of different things. It's kind of pouring from different cups and filling different cups instead of just that one to where maybe you hit burnout. And I talk about it a lot and how I go through these cycles of burnout because especially now being like in the spring, going to summer, I have more
Yeah.
energy and I'm like, here we go, pedal to the
Vitamin
metal on
D.
everything. And yeah, and it's different things. So I feel like, ooh, I get to shift gears here and there, and I'm filling every cup.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, there's too much going on. I'm tired of shifting gears. Um, and so how do you feel like you are kind of preparing and going into this season while maintaining a full-time job and
Mhm.
and then taking on this new endeavor? Like, do you have kind of a plan to help you stay grounded, I guess, is the way I can phrase it?
I mean, honestly, like, planning ahead is, like, how I organize all of that, like, with the planning of the week and, like, the month even, like, if I know that every Tuesday I'm going to yoga at 6 p.m. and every Thursday I'm going to, my other yoga class at 9 a.m., and then, the weekend I'm seeing a show, and then, but the weekends, I'm probably not going to work, like, at all, and I think that's
Uh-huh.
the line I'm gonna draw, and, like, and my thought is, like, this is such a slow burn, like, I have no
Uh-huh.
intention of this being something that's going to just explode, which maybe I should, maybe that's maybe I should be thinking
No,
that way,
I
but, like, I'm also,
I
like
think it's better not
yeah,
to,
I'm
kinda
also,
right
like
now, less expectation and then, like,
I
bam.
mean, if it ends up being crazy, then I'm like, "Hell yeah," like,
Y
some of these other things are probably gonna have to be on the back burner, and I'm gonna have to, which would be
Uh-huh.
ideal, but, like, I think for me, I'm like, I'm weighing it all out in my brain and, like, just kind of like a wait and see what happens instead of, like, being
Uh-huh.
anxious about what will happen, just being like, I have, hired somebody to do my website. I did my podcast episode with Taryn. I'm feeling really good. I've reached out to some people waiting to hear back. And I'm just gonna like sit back and let the universe do its thing. Cause I truly believe like
Love that.
I have done the work and I don't need to be doing more. Like, and if I get to a
Yes.
place where it's like, I feel like I need to be doing more, then I will. But I think like
Yeah.
it's about like, doing the work and then being patient and just, like, letting it all set in, like, settle in my brain, but also settle in the universe, like, people don't know about this yet, like, it's gonna take a little
Mhm.
while, like and that's okay, and, like, I'm just
Yeah.
trying to, like, I don't know, take a chill pill and be cool about it.
I love that perspective so much because I need it so bad and have been working on that too, where it's just like, look, I've put a lot out there, and last year kind of went full force on one thing, and I'm like, I gotta kind of back off that. I'm not stopping, but I exactly what you're saying is like, I've put it out there,
Yeah,
and let's just like believe in some timing and keep doing the things that you care about, and also just keep putting yourself first because that's it just can be super hard. It's the first thing to go from you when things do get busy. That's like, well, I'm canceling that Tuesday
yeah,
yoga class, in my schedule for most of my adult working life has been different day to day. Like even thinking back about guiding, and
yeah,
I when I zipline guide, we had to call in the morning or in the
yeah,
evening and see if we had to tour the next day.
right,
So it's just been so many years of every week looking different that it's
mhm,
been very hard for me to stick to anything like weekly at the same time. So I'm trying to find that like
yeah,
boundary where I'm like, all right, I don't have to be super, super strict about Wednesday at 8 a.m., but it has to happen at least one time this week,
Yes.
Bikram one
Right.
time a week, and I'm
Yep.
doing this hill, like 5-mile hill ride one time a
Yeah.
week, and um, giving myself some loose guardrails to try to stick to, and looking ahead more often at that calendar every Monday. Like, all right, what's this week look like? Can I make sure I get that yoga in on either Wednesday or Friday? Can I still do that ride Saturday or Sunday? Um, and just really trying to hold myself to those things, and not let things, take them out unless it's really kind of important. Because obviously there's going to be things that come up that you just have to sacrifice or not once in a while, but it's just that slippery slope of, letting it start to happen every week
Right.
or
Well, and,
whatnot.
like,
But
those times
um,
away, like, on your bike and those times away out in nature is so, so important because it's, like, giving you
mhm,
the opportunity to, like, relax. Like, even though your body isn't relaxed, like, your brain is, like, getting an opportunity to relax. It's like
yeah,
you're only gonna burn out if you don't allow yourself time like that, and, like, that's why I love
yeah,
this industry. That's why I'm, like, so passionate about the outdoors because and music, I mean, because it's, like, it's a time for your brain to shut off, and you get to be,
yeah,
like, yourself and, like, no distractions, and you're just in it, and it's, like, that's
yeah,
beautiful. It's a beautiful thing, you know?
yeah. I love that. Well, it was so fun, like, catching up with you and hearing about what you're doing, and I'm excited to, see it launch and to continue to follow and see, who you start to work with and where it all goes. And like Allison said, if you're out there, if you're a small brand or small band, and need a little bit of help, like, don't hesitate to reach out and see how you might be able to work with her. And by the time this is live, the website will be live. So again, before we get out of here, the last mention, I guess, of where people can find you, work with you, or just follow the journey along the way if they're interested in seeing what you're up to and taking some inspiration from your just untraditional path and doing the things that fill you up. Let the people know where to find you and everything's live, and follow the journey, whether they're like business or people who want to take that inspiration from, you know.
Yeah, I will have an online website. So I will be it'll be adoutdoorconsulting.com and I'll have a LinkedIn page that you can kind of follow along and I'll post updates on there. But other than that, I haven't really thought about any other like social media things. I'm still kind of figuring out that part because that seems like it would require a lot more day to day stuff. So I'm gonna just start there and then, kind of just see word of mouth, like guerrilla marketing vibes.
Yeah. Well, all that will be linked in the show notes, as you guys know. So go follow along, check out the website, contact Allison, send her an email if you want to figure out ways to work with her, or just have questions on what it might entail and how you could get started down the line or something. But I think you're on to something awesome.
Thank
And like I
you.
said, I'm super stoked to see what happens, because I would absolutely love to work with you if I were in those brand positions for sure.
Awesome. Thank you. That's awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This is awesome and I love this podcast. It's listen to the podcast. Listen to all of the episodes. Like blow it up. It's the best.
Awesome. Aw, thank you so much, Allison.
Yes.
And thanks everybody out there listening. And we'll talk to you next week.